Okay, so let's see. So based on this, we can now explain all the principles of relativity all at once from one single postulate, that is the duality of time theory. And that's because the constancy and invariance of the speed of light are now very easily understood, because the speed of light is the speed of creation. The creation is the inner time. It happens when we are outside as one point. So we don't really observe it. We are actually moving on the imaginary time. So the real time is a completely different plane. It's going in a different plane, and therefore this motion, the motion of the speed of light, is perpendicular on our motion, and therefore it has no effect. No matter how much we change outside, we cannot affect or be affected by what is changing inside. Just like the objects moving on the screen of this monitor now, you are seeing this spot of light, the laser point. It's actually being recreated at every point. Therefore, whether it moves slowly or it moves fast, or whether it disappears here and appear here again, like non-locality or the EBR effect. So in the end, you are not really affecting or breaking, or you are not related at all to the speed of light. The speed of light is only related to the creation itself, which is related to the geometry. And actually, the normalized value of the speed of light is exactly equal to the fractional dimension or the fractal dimension of geometry. So this first principle of the relativity is now understood and explained why the speed of light is constant. Logically, for something to be constant always, whether you add, when you try to add to it and stay constant, either this something is infinity, or it exists in a perpendicular plane. So if I try to move here, our motion here is not affected from what is inside. So our motion on the outside level of time is not related to the perpendicular level, which is the plane, which is the real time. So because of this orthogonal crossing, there is no effect on the speed of light, or the speed of light does not affect the motion of observers. This is actually very easy. Okay, so either for logically for the speed of light to be constant, always constant. So if you suppose c plus v equals c, this is correct logically only when c is infinity, or when v and c, when the external, the observer, and the internal, which is the speed of light, if they exist on orthogonal dimensions. Actually, even this first supposition is actually correct for the speed of light, because for us, since we exist only on the outside, internally the creation is happening for us, is happening at once, and therefore there is no motion. That's why we see everything at once. So the speed of light is infinity for us, and that's why if you do the calculation in even according to the special laws of general relativity, if you do the calculation according to the special relativity, like the time dilation, you will see that for the speed of light, time is zero, and therefore the speed itself, for light itself, is like infinite. So the actual speed of light is really infinity, but it appears for us limited and finite because we are lagging behind. We need to wait until we are created again. So we need until the three dimensions of geometry to be created. That's why we feel a time lag, and that's why we feel time for the creation to happen, which is the speed of light. So in reality, the speed of light is infinite, or actually indefinite, because what is performing this motion is a single monad, where there is no space and no time. So like zero time, zero space over zero time, and therefore it's indefinite. But it looks like infinite. However, for us, it looks finite because we are lagging behind, because we have to wait until we are recreated again, and therefore we are always in a time lag. And by the way, this has been expressed in Quran very clearly, but of course not many people can understand this. Allah says in Quran, when Allah of course have told in many verses that He is creating the whole world in 6 days, and then Allah said in one verse, Are we tired or have we become tired from creating the world? Nay, but you or they are unaware of new creation. So we are in lapse, we are unaware or lagging and not seeing, not witnessing the new creation. So this lag is the reason why we see a limited value of the speed of light. But by itself, the speed of light is infinity, and therefore we cannot affect it, we cannot really add to it or subtract from it. And at the same time, it exists in orthogonal dimension. Actually, this is the meaning of orthogonality. This is the meaning when you are moving in a way that you cannot affect the real. You are moving in the imaginary dimension. You are not existing in the real existence. Therefore, you are actually moving orthogonal to the real dimension. This is the actual meaning of the complex number and imaginary number, and at the same time the orthogonality or the perpendicular planes. So we have a genuine real time and a genuine imaginary time. In total, we have orthogonal time or orthogonal levels of time. And the best example is a TV screen where creation is happening and is not affected by the refresh rate of the creation or the appearing or the appearance of the objects on the screen. Okay, let me move further. Now, the main benefit of this duality of time, and this is really the biggest contribution to physics, is now making the speed of light as the primary constant of creation or universe, or the primary unitless actually constant, because it's now no more space over time, it's time over time. So it's inner time over outer time. Okay, so we have now unitless constant from which all other constant can be extracted, though I have not really done this, but I'm working on that, how to extract other constants from the speed of light in this new meaning as a fractional dimension of geometry. Okay. So, what is actually happening for normal velocities, since we are living in this outside dimension, which is imaginary, we are actually always at zero velocity, but we are averaging from real time to outside time. So either this monad either exists in the inner time where the velocity is c, or in the outer time where the actual velocity is zero. And therefore, if you suppose that an object, for example, ourselves when we are moving, or an electron when it's moving, so if this object, any object or particle, if it's moving in time, it exists in the inner time and in the outer time at the same time, in this complex time. So its actual velocity, outside velocity, it's a summation over the number of monads that are supposed to form this particle. Each one of them is either at zero in the outside time or at c in the inner time. So we sum either 0 or c over n, from 1 to n over n. Therefore, always v will be higher or equal to 0 and less or equal to c in the